The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, well, it got called very quickly. The polls just closed a little bit ago, and already the race has been called on the GOP primary side for governor of Arizona. It's Arizona primary night. And Andy Biggs, who we've had here on the show. I love Andy Biggs, Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, who had the backing and the endorsement of President Trump and also of Turning Point USA. Well, he pulled out with just 39% of the vote right now, but it's already been called by the AP because he has more than 69% of the vote. And there were multiple candidates in the race. I would call that, what, a trouncing, handily beating, and literally within minutes, essentially, the race being called. Again, with about 39%, I think, of the vote, he got 69.6%. And the nearest competitor was I think it's 17.2%. And then the other one had 7%. Now it's 43%, and Biggs has over 70% of the vote. That is truly an enormous win for Andy Biggs. And now he will go up against Katie Hobbs in Arizona. Katie Hobbs, who has been there, and obviously a lot of questions about some of the way she's handled things. We've heard about a lot of the controversy surrounding her in the past. A Democrat in what is kind of traditionally a kind of a red state. By the way, later on this hour, we're also going to be talking with Sergio Arellano. He is the GOP chair there in Arizona to get his take on what this means and what this means moving forward as now they go to the midterms. But this was the big kahuna, was who is going to be on the GOP side. And clearly it was a trouncing and a big success for Andy Biggs. Here's Sergio Arellano talking earlier with us, just talking about what a big deal it could be if the Arizona governor seat goes the other way. It's a Democrat now, and if it goes Republican, wow, oh, wow. Take a listen. How big of a deal would it be if that seat, Katie Hobbs, is a Democrat, if that could flip and becomes a Republican? That would be a biggie, right?
It would be phenomenal. It would be huge. Just because we lose our races here by 3%, people consider it a purple state, but it is a red-leaning state. It is Republican. We just have to be able to harness and stop fighting within, stop the division, and go out and collaborate and bring it together. Top that off with corrupt Katie Hobbs under investigation for corruption. I mean, it's ours to lose.
Wow. So that could be an enormous detail that comes in the midterms. And here is Katie Hobbs, by the way, expecting her opponent might be Andy Biggs. This is what she said recently, blasting him and saying his priorities are all out of whack, according to her.
When I talk to Arizonans across the state, they well and full understand that the cost hikes we're seeing are a result of Washington's agenda and tariffs and the war in Iran. And they're seeing costs go up everywhere, from the grocery store, gas station, doctor's office, everywhere in between. And Andy Biggs, every chance he had to not support that agenda, he has taken the opposite approach, supported that agenda, and put that agenda above Arizona.
Well, Andy Biggs is beloved in Arizona, and obviously the votes already are showing what an enormous success he has had tonight. Congressman Andy Biggs, well regarded, certainly somebody who cares about America, cares about national security, and he's going to go up against Katie Hobbs. Also, as we're talking about priorities out of whack, you got to hear this one. This is Miscalculation. This is the woman who got that nomination for a Democrat in Colorado. And she's part of that DSA trend, that really troubling DSA trend, of which Zohran Mamdani and others are a part of. And listen to what she says. They lay it out there. We were talking the last hour. Judith was saying maybe that Mamdani's a wolf in sheep's clothing because he's got this great smile. And then you hear all this bashing of all these things. But I contend that they're just right out there like a big old neon sign for the world to see. And listen to what Miscalculation had to say about the way they want to just change America.
I think it's particularly important, not just for our community in Tigray, but communities of the global South, period, right? There's a certain reckoning that we are going to have with the global world order as it exists today, and the way that it fundamentally will have to shift going forward, right? The responsibility that we have as Americans, the recognition that is going to be required of us, of the exploitative and extractive nature that we play on the global scale and the global stage, is only going to be challenged if we are getting represented by people who understand that on a fundamental level, right? And that means getting more immigrants into office. That means getting more people who have heritage in the global South into office, because that's where those decisions are made specifically.
Yeah, we need more immigrants. She didn't say legal or illegal. She didn't clarify that. And we brought up New Jersey, finding out that 400 of them, just the tip of the iceberg, happened to have voted in New Jersey. And you know it's probably worse when the Democrat governor is the one who had to come out and announce it. That's a very interesting prospect. She was probably being preemptive because she knew how bad it was going to look when the feds found that out. But then you hear of all this communist chatter, and there are a number of people on the Democratic side, just a few, not a lot, so I don't want to make it sound like it's some groundswell, because it's far from a groundswell. But there are a few who are coming out and saying, I don't recognize this DSA party. What are they trying to do in terms of taking over their party? And they say these are extremists. These are completely out of hand. And here is Bill Maher talking about this DSA surge and how dangerous it is to America. Now, he's a Democrat, but he says, you know what? He's not sure in the midterms.
You told J.D. Vance you're open, your vote is up for grabs.
Yes, my vote is in play because it can't be Trump running. Mm-hmm. So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism. There is a definition.
By the way, Trump's doing that too.
Of course. Yes.
And to a degree that we haven't seen any other president, Democrat or Republican, do.
That's crazy too.
He's got a piece of intel,
right?
A piece of the AI company.
He treats everything like it's a real estate deal.
But he did say his vote is in play. By the way, some of the other crazy stuff from the DSA that seemed to be rising in the polls, at least within some Democratic circles, and they clearly seem to be consuming the Democratic Party in terms of the oxygen. It's abolished the Senate. It's abolished the Supreme Court, defund the Department of War, amnesty for all illegal migrants, abolish police, abolish ICE, no borders, elimination of cash bail, 32-hour-a-week work, wealth tax. You don't have to pay your bills. Don't worry about it. I mean, this is lunacy. This is sheer lunacy. But this is what Republicans are running against. And I contend it's good for the Republican Party because they look like very much the adults in the room, the common sense people in the room. Although you have to worry, God forbid, if the Democrats take over the House or the Senate, these lunacies will be running the insane asylum. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Alice in Ohio on line 3. Alice, your thoughts tonight?
Hi, Rita. This man is arrogant. His arrogance glows in the dark.
Hey, who are you talking about? Mamdani? Who are you talking about?
Oh, Mamdani.
Okay,
yes,
okay,
Mamdani. He's also playing to his base. I'm wondering, too, is he a marionette? Someone is pulling his strings? At least he's honest. He's a terrible anti-Semite. He is a terrible anti-Christian. He's anti-United States. He wants to undermine this country. He's a naturalized citizen. Why don't they pull his citizenship and send him and his little wife back to where they came from? You know something? I had to cancel my trip to the Holy Land. And when I was there, I was going to visit with my cousin who's a rabbi. And about a year ago, when things calmed down, he sent a Star of David to me that he was going to give to me when we were visiting. Sent it back with someone to give it to me. And I wear it on the same chain as my crucifix. And I'm proud of it. What's the matter? And why are these people following him? I think people are catching on, Rita. They're catching on. They're seeing things like this. I
think they are, but then you hear this groundswell, Alice, that people are saying, oh, he's the new head of the Democratic Party. He's getting a lot of attention. And it's really scary. And it's very disheartening to hear that there are people who say, oh, yeah, this guy, at least he's charismatic. At least he's saying what he feels, even if they don't agree with him. I'm talking about Democrats. But they do seem to be buying his oxygen, and they're not seeing, I guess, reasonable alternatives. They're seeing wimps on the other side that are afraid of these people. And they say, oh, well, at least this guy's charismatic, or he says these horrible things with a smile. I mean, is that what it's come down to?
I think there are people who are afraid to really speak from their heart what they actually think and how they actually feel. I don't think that they're going to be successful. It's going to be rough. We are going to win this. I saw an interview with the head of the DSA. I think it was Miss Martha McCollum, and she ripped him up. He sounds like a child. I wonder if he shaves more than twice a week.
By the way, I did see that interview. I thought Martha did a great job.
Oh,
and also he was talking about how his family, she brought up, I thought this was great, how his family fled Peru during the time of the Shining Path, and all of that. But he didn't have enough common sense of history to understand what she was even saying. It just shows how out of touch these people are, Alice. But the scary thing is, they're not wavering. They say it with a straight face. Yeah, I believe these crazy things, and that's what we're doing.
No, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Of course they believe it. They're young, they're immature, and he's a kid. He is a kid. And can you imagine if they put, what's her name, Ocasio-Cortez as president? If she wins, can you see her going on, making her announcements on YouTube while she's putting on her eye makeup? She's disgusting.
Well, you know what? AOC very well may end up running. Alice, I actually think right now she is absolutely running. I mean, that's my feeling. Things could change. But I think right now there's a very strong chance she's going to run. Alice, thank you. It's always so great to hear from you. Let's go to Phil in Delaware. Line 5. Phil, your thoughts.
Hey, good evening, Rita. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. What do you think? What do you think?
My head's ready to explode. But the one thing real quick with the results from Arizona, you screwed my schedule up. I put it that we weren't going to hear the results for 6 or 7 weeks. I thought that's the new norm for calling an election.
Good point. But that's what happens in California, but you're right. It happened so quickly. We're not used to quick, thorough, and fair elections, right?
Now, at a certain point, they just throw their hands up and say, it's so far out, we're not going to screw around with the results.
But it is interesting that it came in so quick, and especially the Andy Biggs race, which is great. We've had Andy on the show, Phil. He's a very, just a great American, great guy. Powerful background. My experience is he's just a wonderful human being, beloved in the state of Arizona. And that will certainly be a really powerful race with him up against Katie Hobbs in a state that typically is red. It's sort of reddish purple, but there's a very good chance, and that would be a huge deal if it turns out to be a Republican governor there, don't you think?
They can only hope and pray. But I can tell you with this Mamdani, I'd be willing to bet that first caller was kind of on point where there's got to be a safe somewhere with different scenarios and speeches to go along with them. Because this was pre-planned this way as far as Mamdani doing an about face.
Yeah, and the question is why now? Like, I find it interesting because he doubled down, tripled down, and then suddenly, oh, we've examined it and we don't have the authority. I bring up the fact, Phil, any attorney worth his grain of salt would have been able to advise him that in 5 seconds.
But I think he and his party knew exactly what they were doing and knew it wouldn't fly.
I agree.
And as far as why now or today, it's because they got something planned for tomorrow or the next day, and they don't want to get too backed up on their crazy agenda because it's all planned out.
You know what? You bring up a good point. Maybe there's more crazy coming, and that was just phase one. So let's see. By the way, with Mamdani, I'm sure there's a lot more crazy coming. That's a great point, Phil. Thank you very much, Phil, from Delaware. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody, will continue on The Rita Cosby Show right after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. Breaking news.
And this just in here on the Rita Cosby Show. It's an interesting one. Of course, many of us watch the FIFA World Cup games. I watched a few. I watched the final. Took a long time to get a goal, but it was a good game, still nonetheless. And of course, President Trump seems to have gotten very close to FIFA's president, Gianni Infantino. And they seem to be buddies. They were at the White House together. They were there presenting the medals to the winning teams. And now the New York Post is reporting that President Trump wants the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, to be the next UN Secretary General. That he thinks that he has a unique ability dealing with different people around the world, which he certainly has through FIFA, through the World Cup, knows a lot of people, and also is a level-headed guy. And the New York Post is saying that a source close to the president is saying that Trump believes that he would be a great UN Secretary General who could transform the UN. Actually, that would be a very interesting idea. Somebody like him coming in with obviously many international connections, but coming at a very different perspective, certainly knows how to manage certain issues. And he would certainly have the ear of President Trump, and maybe President Trump can reshape the UN, which certainly needs a lot of reshaping. But that is a doozy. And by the way, in just a little bit, in probably about 15 minutes or so, we're going to be hearing from Sergio Arellano. He is the GOP chair for Arizona. And of course, a big Arizona primary tonight. He's going to fill us in on what all the results are, what they mean, not just for Arizona, but for America. So you definitely want to stick around for that. Meantime, everybody just shaking their heads at Zohran Mamdani, who admits, well, maybe I can't arrest Netanyahu after all, but he still bashes him and calls him the worst of the worst, a real horrible war criminal. Listen to this statement that Mamdani released tonight, the New York City mayor, after all the brouhaha. And now he says, well, after thorough investigation, we realize we can't do it, but I hope somebody else does.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. He is responsible for the killing of more than 73,000 people, for the maiming of tens of thousands of children, as those who survive undergo amputation without anesthesia, for the targeting of neonatal hospitals and maternity care centers, denying newborns even the chance to live, for the countless people he starved as he blocked food and humanitarian aid from reaching them, for the gunning down of hundreds of aid workers and journalists. And just last month, the UN confirmed that Palestinian children continue to be deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli armed forces, more than 8 months after the so-called ceasefire. The list goes on and on, all as we, as Americans, pay for the bombs that do the killing. There is a reason the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. As human beings, we have spent generations building a shared understanding that there are crimes so grave they offend all of humanity. Anyone with their eyes, with their heart, with their conscience, should recognize the devastation he has wrought and understand that he belongs before a court of law. As I've said, I agree with the ICC that Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested and tried for his crimes, as I do for anyone else charged by the ICC. My administration has reviewed every avenue available under applicable law to determine whether New York City could execute the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant if Benjamin Netanyahu came here. It is clear that we do not have the independent legal authority to enforce this warrant. The federal government, however, does, and I call on them to join the ICC and execute this warrant. And I want to be equally clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City, nor is any other war criminal at large. While we cannot end the genocide on our own, we can decide whether our silence will become another weapon, and we can examine every tool we have to defend the humanity and dignity of all people. That is my commitment to you.
I mean, what a preposterous comment. Calling him a war criminal through and through. Oh, we've exhausted it. There's obviously a lot more to the backstory. Hopefully we find out soon, because obviously he realized what a fool he was looking like and maybe realized that he was in legal hot water. And listen to former Congressman Peter King. He joined us on Katz and Cosby, and he said just even the fact that Mamdani even has been pushing this shows what Peter says is clearly an anti-Semite.
Yeah, first of all, what he's talking about with Benjamin Netanyahu talking about prosecuting, arresting him is absolutely disgraceful. He can't be done. He knows it can't be done. To me, he's just sending an anti-Semitic message to his anti-Jewish followers, which is unfortunately, I think, the base of his operation. But also, you said how it's gone viral. When I contacted you last night, it was 500,000. Now it's over 1 million. And this is no tribute to me. That's over 1 million. And basically, I was attacking Mamdani for going after Netanyahu, saying that this was an assault, really, on the Jewish community. And also, it's a signal. He knows he can't do it. It's illegal. It couldn't be done. But by doing that, all he's doing is increasing racial tensions, religious tensions, and trying to show that he is not intimidated by those who go after him because of it. I mean, he's the guy who said that he wants global intifada. He's the one who was silent when Colombia was being overtaken by the Hamas elements. So this guy, he's not making mistakes. He knows what he's saying, and I think it's an evil motive, but he knows what he's doing.
Knows what he's doing, and you heard what he said, that he's also calling on the federal government to step in, that he's realizing that a New York City mayor can't try to arrest a prime minister for coming to the UN, which was just such a ridiculous statement. But I'm calling on the federal government like he's the judge, jury, and executioner, that he's the guy who decides if the feds can try to pursue this. I mean, what an arrogance about any sort of mayor in America, let alone Zohran Mamdani. And yet, I think President Trump might be a little busy right now because even today he said things might be stepping up with Iran. And one of the places he said it really may be stepping up is that apparently they got intelligence that the Iranians, the regime, was moving nuclear centrifuges from the old place that they were hitting to Pickaxe Mountain, which is a mountain, essentially a huge mountain that they believe centrifuges may be buried 6,000 feet deep. It's well below ground, obviously. It's a massive feat. But that President Trump said, you know what, we're following it and we'll be hitting that place soon. It's pretty wild that President Trump doesn't hold anything back. He's not like saying, oh, I can't tell you. He feels that Iran is in such a bad position from a defense that he can just announce it and he's still going to have to do it. Take a listen.
Do you believe that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain? And when you say we're not done yet, what is left to finish?
Well, I think that they may have. We don't have it on record. All we do is read the fake news. You know, we see the news is so wrong so many times. So, maybe this one they have right, but it's okay. It doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. You're talking about the centrifuges. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. They don't have. We follow the material. That's where the action is, and we'll be hitting that area very, probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it. Normally I wouldn't say that. If I thought they could do something about it, I would never say that. But we'll be hitting that area pretty soon, and very heavily.
We're ready to go in. He's like, we're announcing it. It doesn't matter. They can't do anything. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Mary in New Jersey. Line 3. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi, Rita. It sounded to me as though Mamdani was trying to set Netanyahu up to be assassinated by somebody. I mean, he sounded like he was really encouraging that. Somebody take that on. Considering the climate in the city and the country, that was very irresponsible, but I think it was deliberate.
It's an interesting point because did he churn the flames in that statement, which is why I wanted to play it for you guys again, because you're right, he's so vicious against him and saying, he killed 73,000 people. You're right, he really is fueling the flames against this guy. It's like, I wish he had the same ire towards, repeat offenders in New York City, He goes, he hangs out with the felons and Rikers, and yet he goes after, Netanyahu. He was literally, Mary, let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago. He was in Rikers watching the FIFA game, and the guy next to him strangled his girlfriend to death. And he's like, these people are New Yorkers. They're wonderful people. And then he's going after Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, who's on the front lines of the war on terror, accusing him of mass murder. I mean, you can't make it up, Mary.
No, and when he said we have to use every tool we have, my blood ran cold.
So what does he mean? That's an interesting point. That you're right. That phraseology, we have to use every tool we have. So we don't have this tool, but what other tool is he alluding to, Mary?
Exactly. He wants to stir somebody up to go take it on.
Yeah, it's actually, you're right, and it's a very dangerous language. It's a very, hateful, dangerous, this guy's a major killer. I want to make his stay in New York as miserable as possible. No sign of respect to somebody who's a prime minister of a country. That's why I kind of use the arrogance. I took a lot of arrogance. How dare he, some local, a mayor who used to be a rapper not that long ago, say that.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, he's quite a figure, Mamdani. He's not a nobody, and people are listening to him. And somebody's going to say, okay, well, I have permission. Mamdani wants me to do it for the good of, the world. I will do it. And he knows that.
Yeah, people are askew. Look what happened at that ICE location, sadly, the other day. And I firmly believe that guy with the screw loose who set the fire right at the entrance of the ICE facility in New York, I believe that some of the rhetoric that's out there, if you have a screw loose, you get inspired by some of those people. And who knows who's listening to Mamdani and says, he says this guy is responsible for killing 73,000 people. Genocide, him specifically with such vitriol. It's dangerous and it's reckless. I agree with you, Mary. And let's just pray the Prime Minister of Israel stays very, very safe. Mary, thank you very much. And everybody now support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from New Lisbon, Wisconsin, where veteran Harry Schwab's lifetime of military service came into sharp focus when friends, families, and veterans gathered at the local community center to honor the decorated veteran for his unwavering commitment to the U.S. Navy and the Wisconsin National Guard. For Schwab, military service was much more than a career. It was a calling that spanned from age 18 to 74. And while medals and accolades mark milestones in Schwab's military career, he credits his greatest satisfaction to a different kind of achievement, developing the next generation of military leaders. As an instructor with the Wisconsin National Guard, he trained soldiers in leadership positions, preparing them for combat. So continuing to serve. How powerful. And everybody, America's heroes, need your help. All it takes to make such an enormous difference is to donate $11 a month to the incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. They are the best. Be sure to check them out at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And it is primary night here in Arizona, and a couple of the results already coming in very quickly. Congressman Andy Biggs, who I love, he has won the GOP primary. That is for the governorship. That is the primary on the GOP side. He will go up against incumbent Democrat Katie Hobbs in November. And then also Jay Feely, former NFL kicker and broadcaster, also Trump endorsed, just like Andy Biggs. Trump had a very good night tonight, by the way, with his endorsements. Jay Feely won his primary. That was for the congressional district number 1. That is Scottsdale, parts of North Phoenix. And also, I understand that we have with us now Sergio Arellano, who is the GOP chair there for Arizona. Just starting to read off the results, but fill us in. You're right there on the ground there, Sergio.
Rita, it is an electric time out here. We're at victory parties. We're looking at the results come in. Very excited. A lot of the base is very motivated to see that Andy Biggs is our nominee. I think we talked about it in our earlier segment, but for those tuning in, we are projecting an Andy Biggs victory. Now we can pull the full force, full weight of the grassroots and the party. We are very united tonight. We're going to continue being united, and we look forward to being victorious against this corrupt governor's agenda.
You know, Sergio, with the GOP chair there in Arizona, Andy Biggs, I love Andy. Andy's been on the show. He's a friend. I love Congressman Andy Biggs. The fact the results came in so fast. Were you surprised how fast? I mean, he handily won that.
I'm not going to lie. I was shocked at how quickly it came in because we saw a lot of ground game and a lot of effort on behalf of all the candidates running. But this was a surefire thing, and it shows what direction the party is headed in. We need someone with discipline that's going to run a great campaign, hold true to their principles, and also appeal to the independents in Arizona that we need in order to be victorious here in November.
Now, also, give us some of the other lowdown. I was just reading, it's a congressional seat 1. Jay Feely won that one, right?
Jay Feely handedly, but we saw a full-throated Trump endorsement video come out from his desk in the Oval Office. If there was any doubt that he wasn't going to pull it off, President Trump made sure that he sealed the deal for Jay Feely. So that was not a surprise. That was very expected on our end. And then CD6, of course, Juan Ciscomani, he did not have a primary, so we're very engaged and motivated and ready for him as well.
Now, Sheriff Mark Lamb, he won, right? And Congressional District 5, Trump endorsed too.
Yes, it shows you that the party belongs to Trump still. Our president, has an agenda. The people are speaking that they want Trump's agenda still, and we're all excited about it. I think that the influence that the president has on the ground has not waned. I think because it is a midterm, we see lower turnout than we do on a presidential, but we're trending right. We're trending properly. The turnout has come out ahead of the Democrats so far, and we hope to continue riding that wave in the general.
That's a great point because you're seeing because it was a Democratic primary tonight too, in a number of these races. And you're right. You can sort of see where the enthusiasm is. How significant? I know we talked earlier, but I want to have you share this with our national audience here. How significant would it be if indeed the governor's house there in Arizona, which is a red state, but some people say it's a purple state, but Democrat Katie Hobbs is there. And how significant would it be if it turns out to be a Republican by the name of Andy Biggs?
I think it would be a huge, or as Trump would say, huge win. I think that it will show to the people that the Democrat Party has lost its identity, which we know it's already happening given the low voter turnout here so far. And it's also going to show that Republicans do have something to stand on. We have what the public needs. The party is a great opportunity party because we want every person to have the opportunity to achieve that American dream. And the Democrats don't have it. They want men and women's sports. They want boys and girls bathrooms. They just want to take away every liberty that we have, the right to bear arms, our First Amendment, the freedom of speech. They do everything in their power to suppress it. It will show clearly to the Democrats and the rest of the nation that Arizona continues to lead the way as the beacon of hope here in the West Coast. And it will also show that it can be done throughout the nation for the upcoming presidential.
Well, Sergio, thank you so much with the big breaking news there from Arizona on this big night. Congrats. And
Thank
so
you, Rita.
great to have you. Thank you, Sergio. Wow, big night for Arizona. And it sounds like it might be a big night in November, too.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?